Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott Sr., and I'm here with...
Charles Scott Jr. How you guys doing? How you been?
And here we are again this fine day in spring.
Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. So we're here to give you some information about what's going on within the neighborhood, what's happening in the real estate market. If you've been watching, this is a weekly program. You can watch us here at the TV station, or you can watch us on YouTube,
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, wherever. That's how we do it.
That's what we do. We give you information. We let you know some of the things that are going on, and we have a loyal following. And if you have been following us, maybe you want to let your friends know, because we're out here to give you valuable information so that you don't make some of the mistakes if you're looking to purchase a home, or if you're looking to sell a home, or renting an apartment.
Or an apartment, I was going to say that.
We do a lot of apartment rentals. So anything that you may want to know about real estate, or even, let's say, the economy, some of the things that we talk about are what's happening, where the economy's headed. We don't have a crystal ball, but you know, people make millions of dollars on Wall Street and they lose millions. They don't have a crystal ball.
Exactly. I will say, if you guys have been watching us since, let's say, last year at this time, we were pretty much on point with what's going on. I mean, keep an ear out for Can We Talk, because we take all this news, we digest it, and we give it to you in a way that you can say, oh, okay, they say interest rates may go up this much, and they go up that much, and I need to be ready for what's coming next. Like we always say, stay a step ahead of the game. Yeah,
like you say, we've been pretty much on point on our broadcasts and some of the things that we've been telling you that's going to happen, and some of the things as far as the interest rates, as far as the economy, housing, and a lot of these things that we predict is from basically reading a lot of material, watching a lot of what the professionals are saying, studying the market. And not only that, we're right in the thick and thin of it. We're out there, we're doing it. We're in the middle of the real estate market. You know, we're both brokers, and we deal with all the people that are coming in, and we could tell you all kinds of stories and situations. And you know, I've been doing it for 38 years.
Yes.
My son's been doing it for
about 15 years.
15 years, so
I was going to say, not to interrupt you, but remember, people, we have the number down there. You can always give us a call and ask us. People call us a lot for questions that may be semi-related to real estate, or just what's going on in Bridgeport. Where do they see things going? And like I said, we say Bridgeport is going to be definitely a great city to be in, like it is now, but even better in the future. A lot of things are coming to this town. We got big musical acts. We're becoming like the entertainment hub of Connecticut.
Entertainment hub.
Yes.
Not only Bridgeport. Actually, before we did this program, I was just in Norwalk.
Norwalk too.
You know, we're up in Norwalk, we're in Fairfield County, we're in Waterbury, Shelton, Derby, Seymour, Ansonia, Hartford the other day, remember?
Yes.
All over the state. So no matter where you are, if you're relocating, if you're coming into the state of Connecticut, and even if you're moving out of Connecticut into another state, we have reciprocal agreements that we can put you in touch with another representative, whether it's North Carolina, whether it's California, Florida, no matter where it may be, call us, and we can give you some advice as to some of the things that are going on.
Yeah, people don't realize that we have some customers who may be moving to Florida, retiring, or just out of state in general. Even though I may not be able to follow you down there and show you the houses, what I
wish
can
we
do,
could.
Yeah, wish you could, right? Get in our private jet, go right down there.
It's warm.
Yeah, right? But what we were saying is basically I can tell you what agents down there I would recommend, because I see the reviews, I trust them, and they trust my client with them to reciprocate the deal.
Exactly. Today we wanted to talk about some of the things that spring weather brings. You know? Actually, it seems like we haven't had a winter. It seems like we've been in spring.
Don't jinx it, knock on wood, whatever the wood
We've been in spring ever since last year.
We've only had one little bit of, not even a major storm really, compared to years past.
I think we had something like 4 inches so far this year.
Yes.
So and before that was before the other storm, and before that we only had 9/10 of an inch.
Exactly.
Imagine that.
So what I'm going to say is this spring coming up is going to be even more, I would say, more participated spring in real estate. More people are going to come out. Daylight savings times in a few days, which means the sun sets later. So what that means is people from further distances like New York, Harlem, Manhattan are going to be coming into Connecticut looking for properties.
Exactly. How does that affect you? Well, it all depends. Like, let's say, for example, if you're looking to purchase a home and In the past, I used to hate the winter because it would get dark so early.
Yes.
And then the other part of that, I'd always say, well, it looks like I get a vacation because I can't go around with a flashlight looking at homes at 4:30 in the afternoon because it would
Yes.
get dark. So I'd say it's sort of like forced retirement in the winter. Now what happens is that, every day goes by, we get an extra minute. Then we get the savings, daylight savings time, we get another hour.
Yep.
So what's happening is that people are starting to come out of the woodworks. People can see properties for a longer period of time. You got to get a
Yes.
jump start on everybody, and because there's not a lot of properties that are readily available, everyone's starting to call now, trying to get a jump start on the other person.
Exactly.
Maybe you can explain that a little
Most
bit.
definitely. Like my clients will tell me, I'm gonna wait till winter's over and start looking in the spring. I always tell them spring's a more busy area, more busy time. For example, I have many memories of many springs going to houses and there's other agents coming out with their clients. Or we're going in the house and we're in the house. All of a sudden we hear voices downstairs saying, "Are we done yet? We just got here."
They're trying to kick us out.
Trying to kick you out. So I would say make sure when you're going to be looking for a house in the springtime, you have an agent who's experienced with this environment and how competitive it can be. Because, for example, if I show my clients a house and I see agents coming in and going out, I'm going to say, we have to get our plan together tonight. Let's get a deal in, get an offer in by at least the next day. Because at that point, other people are going to be trying to put an offer on the house.
Exactly. And at least now we're able to evaluate the property, take you back to the office, sit down, possibly put the offer in.
Yes.
It got so bad last year that we had to take the applications right with us in the car. As soon as we go inside and look
Most
at the house,
definitely, I remember
come
that.
back and sit in the back seat and fill out the application before we even leave the house. Take the offer and text it in and send it in. Take a picture of it. So
Yes.
this is an advantage to people out there. If you're looking to purchase a home right now, but you have to get started now. If you have not been pre-qualified
I
or
was gonna say that.
pre-approved,
Pre-approved.
start now. Don't go backwards. We have people call us and they say, "Oh, I want to look at a house." I say, "Okay, have you gotten pre-approved or pre-qualified? Meaning, have you been to the bank and has the bank told you that they will be able to give you a mortgage? And most importantly, how much money they will be able to give you?"
Exactly.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about it.
Also, I was going to say with the pre-approvals, make sure you have a recent pre-approval. People may have called us and they got a pre-approval in November, December, October. But remember, those pre-approvals, you look at the bottom, there's an expiration date. Usually it's 60 days, 90 days.
Okay, that's important.
So make sure you get a recent pre-approval because some people think it's set in stone. I got pre-approval. Let's say you got pre-approval last January. It's
No good.
2022.
No
Since
good.
then, we've had a war. We have interest rates going up. The world's changed. So you want to make sure you have a pre-approval with a recent date on it that's still active.
Most of these pre-approvals now, a lot of the new ones are 60 days.
Yeah, I
It
was gonna
used
say
to be
60 days.
90 days. Now they're like 60 days. Meaning if you went in the bank over 2 months ago and you got a letter saying that you were qualified to go out and buy a house,
Yes.
if you have not found anything and you have not notified that bank, that letter you have may be void.
Yes.
Now, you can get another letter as long as nothing has changed. You go back and say, "I didn't find anything. It's been 2 months. I need another letter." However, realize this. If the interest rates went up since you were there the last time, let's say you qualified for $300,000 the last time.
Yes.
Now you go back into the bank and you say, "I want a new letter." Well, they may say, "Now you only qualify for $270,000 because the interest rate went up." So you've got to go back in there and get pre-approved all over again. Now, on the other side of that, they have the new type of situations where maybe you have what they call a buy down.
Yes.
If you give the bank, let's say $1,500, they'll give you the old rate because you considered buying
Buying
down
a
the
rate.
rate.
Exactly.
Or in some cases, what I see coming back today, I was even telling you,
Say adjustable.
the adjustable rate mortgage.
That's coming back. Yes.
That means that they give you a rate that is low now, but it goes up eventually to a higher rate.
Or the current rate of the time.
Yes.
Definitely.
Just be careful about those because you want to make sure they got a cap on them. And then you got to look
Yes.
at, some people are saying, well, if the interest rates go up, I will get an adjustable rate now and then refinance it when the rates go back down. Now, what
Right.
happens if they don't go down?
I said, what happens if they don't go back down? That's another, you got to look at both angles of it. Now, if the rates don't go down, how do you refinance at a higher rate? So you want to make sure that you have a loan officer that you trust and you look at their reviews and say, okay, this person's going to be looking out for my best interests. Because also, I was also going to want to remind people, when you get a pre-approval, make sure nothing's changed with what you bought. Have you bought a car since you got your last pre-approval? Have you
that's
bought
right.
any furniture? Because remember, although your income has not changed, now you have more debt. You have a new car payment or a higher car payment, or you're paying off the furniture.
That's right.
Definitely.
The money you saved to put down on that house, you know, your cousin or your brother had to borrow it from you because he had an emergency in his family, and you loaned it to your brother, and the brother said, "Don't worry, I'll pay it back to you." And now the brother has not paid it back to you. So now when the mortgage officer gives you the new pre-approval and you go through all that work, and now we say, okay, where's the down payment? Oh, I'm waiting for my brother to pay it back to me. Oh, no.
Exactly.
You got problems.
Like we tell people, when you go to get a pre-approval, there's two things that could help you get it be more solid with it. I would say make sure you have all the money that you're going to be using to buy this house in your account. For example, the down payment and everything. We don't want money under the mattress. They're going to tell you where does money come from. You want to make sure it's in your bank for at least 2 months. Because remember, when you go to a pre-approval, 9 times out of 10, they're only going to go back 2 months. They just want to make sure the money's been sitting in your account and it hasn't been touched. Also, make sure you have a checkbook, which law officers forget to tell people. You want to have a checkbook because when you go to look for a house,
that's a big problem.
and you put an offer, and you want to have the checkbook so you can put an offer. And that's what they call earnest money. If not, it'll be 5 p.m. You saw the house you love, you have to go get a money order. And then that's a lot of time and hassle you don't have to go through.
The other thing, for many people out there that we're addressing this too, we have a lot of people that partner. Now, some people probably saying partner, what's that mean? They don't even have an idea what a partner is. And I've been dealing with partners going back probably, I don't know, for the last 10 years.
Yes.
Some cultures, they put money together and they save their money together. And let's say, for example, each person puts $100 a week aside. They don't put it in the bank. Some people have a mistrust of banks.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if they need money, they don't have to worry about going to the bank and getting it. The partner gives them money. So let's say you got 10 people and each person puts $100 a week away. Hey, that's $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month.
Exactly.
And then some cases they may pull straws to see who can get the first draw or get some of the money. Then that person can use that money to buy a house or do whatever they want to with that. And then they keep continuing putting it back in to pay the money back to keep the partner going. Now, years ago, when I first started out, the banks used to recognize the partners, and you would just have to give them the name of the person who was in charge of the partner, and they would contact that person to make sure that that person can verify that that's your money that you are getting back.
Yes.
Now it goes a little bit further. If you're doing a partner, they want to see the person who's managing the partner put the money in a bank account.
Yes.
And show a record have a ledger showing, okay, this money came from Charles, this one came from Janice, this one came from Henry. So therefore, there's a record of who put money into the partner.
Yes.
So now when you take a draw and you take that money out, that partner can say, well, this money we put aside for Charles, so that's his money. The bank doesn't want you borrowing money to buy a house, because now if you borrow money, that's like a credit card or a loan. And if you don't pay back the partner, the partner might get mad at you, might come and,
Exactly. Well, also because you're borrowing money from them. They say, how are you going to buy a house with borrowed money when you're borrowing our money to buy the house?
Right.
So they want to make sure you're financially stable.
They may feel as though we own part of that house.
Exactly.
If you don't pay us, we're going to come take some furniture out, or worse. So you can still do a partner. Just realize that if you get involved in a partner, that there's a record of the money and who's holding the money.
Exactly.
And there's different cultures call it different types of names and everything. So
Well, I was going to say, not to interrupt you, but if you don't have a partnership, let's say you just have some friends and family. It could be a mother or brother. We have a lot of people where it's the mother and the son. They buy a house together. They go to the bank. They sit down. They look at both incomes. And you'll be surprised how powerful they can get a buying power with their incomes.
especially now.
Especially now.
What's happening is, and we predicted this last year. We said
Remember to go back to some of our few episodes from the last year. They're all on YouTube, Facebook. You can see other episodes where we talked about this.
We talked about all of the things that are occurring, and we are also talking today about things that are going to happen.
Yes.
And a lot of it is economics. Last year we talked about how families would be doubling up because of the economy. I saw some surveys recently, and it talked about how many families are renting together. And we have people that apply to us right now that want to rent an apartment. Well, we had a lady, last week, heard she lives in the city here, and her daughter, I think, lives in New Haven.
Exactly.
So they're renting an apartment, and they're going to move in together.
Moving together, the same cost.
Yeah, the mother, the daughter, and the child. Matter of fact, just yesterday, same situation. So and I've said this for years. You got a daughter that's paying $1,200 a month rent. You got a mother that's paying $1,500 a rent. That's what's that? $2,700.
Just about.
They join together, and they get a really nice apartment for $1,800, 3 or 4 bedrooms and everything. And now they're saving $500 a month.
That's if they save it. Remember, you gotta have a savings plan. Some may say, now we have more money to spend. You get more cars, more furniture.
No.
Remember, not everyone has the same mindset. Remember, people, if you have opportunity to move in with somebody and now you have an influx of extra $500, why not put that to the side and save that money?
You save that money. You don't spend that money. You save that money.
Exactly.
Look at it this way. If you're saving $500 a month and times 12, that's $6,000 a year.
Yes.
In 2 years, you've got $12,000. That's enough to put down on a house.
Very much.
And maybe you can get into a first-time homebuyer program or a program where now you have enough to put down on the house. So when that lease comes up for that house, now you can kiss your landlord goodbye and go out and rent, or not rent, but buy your own house.
Exactly. Because remember, 9 times out of 10, we're seeing a lot of landlords, mom and pop landlords being replaced with these management companies. People are buying houses 20, 30 at a time. They put it under umbrella, turn into a REIT. We'll explain that in another episode. But what it is, you'll deal with situations where they're going to increase the rent. No matter what, it's part of their portfolio. Every time the lease comes due, we increase it by 4% or even more. A lot of cities are putting in laws or bills to lower this increase. But remember, put the money aside, because eventually your goal is going to be homeownership, because the rents aren't going down. They're going to keep going up.
One of the things one of the things I just thought of as you were talking, and we have to have a segment on, there's a lot of discussion going on rent control.
Yes, a lot.
A lot of discussion going on and capping the amount that a landlord can increase their rent by. And there's some bills right now before the state of Connecticut legislature that want to put in fair rent controls within the different cities and cap the amount that a person can increase their rent by. And there's a lot of pro and a lot of cons for that. And I'm just going to go basically briefly now, but we should
We'll have
say
a whole episode on that, just
we
because
should
there's
have
a lot of pros and a lot of cons.
whole episode on that alone. And basically just to give it out there, naturally the people that rent want to keep the rents down.
Correct.
And even if the landlord goes up on the rent, they want them to be able to only go up a little bit at a time, not a whole lot.
Yes.
We've seen in the past where rents have gone up 40%, 50%, 100%. And so naturally the renters want to keep the rents down. And the other side of the token, you have the landlords. And the landlords say, well, okay, when the original owner bought the house, he paid $70,000 for it 20 years ago. Now I'm paying $350,000, $400,000 for that same
mortgage
house.
might outweigh the rents.
Right. The landlord that you're renting from now, he has no mortgage. All he has is taxes and insurance. So if he charges you $1,000, he's making money.
Exactly.
Now I come along and I pay $400,000 for that same house. And now I've got a mortgage of $2,500, $3,000 a month.
Exactly.
So I can't charge you $1,000 a month because I'm actually paying for you to live there.
Exactly.
Then the landlord says, well, okay, when the first owner bought the house, his taxes were $600 for the whole year.
Right.
I'm paying $8,000, $10,000 for a year.
Exactly.
So now the taxes I'm paying are way up. The water bill is up. The sewer bill is up. The insurance is up.
The costs all around.
So I can't possibly rent it out to what the other landlord was renting. So then the landlord says, well, if I can't charge the rents and if I can't go up on the rents, then I'm not buying the house in the first place.
Exactly.
So I'm not buying any properties where the taxes. So now what happens is that the properties end up going downhill because the landlord's saying, well, I'm not buying it, I'm not fixing it up, I'm not doing anything. And then the people that are living there are saying, well, okay, that's good, we'll just stay here. But the present landlord is saying, well, I'm not making enough money to make it work, and he gets foreclosed on because he can't afford to pay
and
the
you
mortgage.
have to leave. And at that point, you're thrown into the rental environment, which I talk to people every day. There's some people that have been in their apartments for 15 years, 20 years. They don't realize what the market rate is going right now.
It's a shock.
It's a real shock. And then what happens is they have to go rent an apartment. They don't realize how, I'll say, more strict it is now. You have to go through. I tell people it's harder to get an apartment than to buy a house at this point. They're going to look through your background, your credit. They may even want proof of funds. Do you have the money ready to go right now to move in?
Speaking of that, that's going to be another segment.
What's that? Proof of funds?
No. We're going to have a segment on what you need to do to prepare to rent an apartment.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Some of the things that you need to do, what paperwork you have to get in order, how to make it easier for you to rent that apartment, some of the things that you can do to, make your resume look better.
I would say make you stand out.
Make you stand out.
You got to realize these people you're calling for an apartment, they probably got 50 calls that day. How do you stand out amongst the other 50?
What makes your application look better than the other person's application versus just showing up and saying, here I am, here's the money, and then when landlord asks you questions, the answer is, why you want to know all about my business? It's like,
Oh, yeah, those are my favorite.
why you need to know that?
Why you asking all these questions?
Why you need all these questions?
Or my other favorite, you have to tell your landlord that you're going to be moving. Oh, no, I'm not going to tell him nothing. He's horrible. He hasn't fixed anything.
Yeah, I'm just going to move out.
I'm just going to move out.
That one always gets me.
Yeah.
And that was a question that it catches a lot of things, because when I say to somebody, they say, well, I'm ready to move. I says, well, when can you move? And they say, right away, immediately. Tomorrow. And I'm
Now.
like, how long have you been where you are now? Oh, a year, maybe 6 months. And I said, well, don't you have a lease? The lease is usually 1 year to the other. And you've only been there 6 months. So why are you moving? No, he doesn't do this. He doesn't fix this. And I said, well, you don't have to get a release from, no. He doesn't even know I'm moving.
How about that one?
So now what happens, and it's not my apartment, I'm representing the landlord.
Exactly.
The landlord will say to me, well, what did the last landlord say about this tenant? Can you imagine me calling the landlord, and the landlord doesn't even know the tenant is moving in the first place?
Or how about this? You got to be real careful. The landlord gives the tenant a raving review because he doesn't want them to stay there either.
Right. It depends. It's one way or the other.
Yeah.
The landlord may say, oh, yeah, they pay on time. Oh, I can't wait for them
Oh, they're
to
leaving
move.
so soon?
Oh, yeah.
What a shame.
I'll even rent the U-Haul truck to help them out.
Exactly.
So, the only thing we're saying is leave on good terms. Let the landlord know that you're moving, and keep paying your rent, keep paying everything on time.
Exactly.
Don't stop paying. And the other thing also is maybe you have a security deposit. Maybe you're using that security deposit to pay for your next apartment.
Yes.
How do you expect to get the security deposit back when you skipped out in the middle of the night and the landlord didn't even know that you were leaving? So, try and stay on as good of terms as you can with your present landlord. Even if you don't like the guy, unless you've called the health department and they're involved.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a whole segment on that, to give you an idea as to some of the things that you can do to make it look better. And also, we're going to have that segment for the landlords. The landlord's a two-way street. Landlords have to take care of the apartments, and landlords have to treat the tenants nice.
Well, we've seen over the past year, we've had to educate a lot of landlords because they don't realize the things they have to do when someone moves in.
There's laws.
There's laws.
There's laws. The landlords can't just do whatever they want and get away with it. There's fair housing laws that they have to abide by. So we're going to have a segment on landlord-tenant relationships.
Most definitely.
So as you can see, we give a lot of
information. Also, I want to say, because we know this episode is more about the spring market. Any questions, give us a call. You can follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and TikTok. We work 7 days a week, and we know everything real estate, especially not just Fairfield County, but the entire state of Connecticut and beyond. Don't be afraid to give us a call.
Everything is a broad stretch.
Oh, I'm saying, I'm getting some calls.
If we don't know, we'll ask Alexa.
Exactly. There we go. We'll ask ChatGPT. I know some of you have heard of that before.
ChatGPT. That's another segment.
Yeah, right.
As you can see, there's so much in real estate, so much that you need to know.
Yes.
We try to give you some information on these segments. Go back and look at some of the other segments.
Mm-hmm.
They're not like time dated. They're all valuable information.
All information, all current information.
You may want to know about apartment fixing up. You may want to know about rentals. Go back and look at some of our segments. Like us and
share, subscribe.
Share. Go to our website. So. Again, maybe I'll leave the closing remarks to you.
Yes. All right. And in conclusion, we're here to help the people, help the public, and any information, give us a call.
Again, until next week, Charles Scott, Sr.
And Charles Scott, Jr.
God bless.
Amen.